the last time you've seen the Bills 3 times in a
Yeah, maybe my junior year in college. One of my teammates in college, father, was Marv Levy's game day security guard. So we'd play Saturday night, and we'd all get in the car Sunday morning, go to the game. So it's probably the last time I saw 3 games. But it was awesome yesterday. I was able to bring the staff, and we actually had some fun with it. So it was
Bills
good.
Mafia was well represented.
It was good. So were the Browns. It was yes, it was a fun day. It was neat to see. Yeah.
What have you seen in Phil Peronic lately? Obviously the offense, but
Just assertive with his game. I know I mentioned this post game the other day. What I was really proud of and excited about his game, he directly had his fingerprints all over the first goal against. Simply got beat on a one-on-one that led to a backdoor tap in, something he hasn't done all year. And I thought he took it very personal, letting his teammates down. And the rest of his game, he was going to get it back for him. And he did. So that was a really good sign. But he's being assertive. He's playing fast. I think Ole's helping him a ton. Ole just has a simple game, predictable game, and I think it really helps Phil. So I know we're only 18 games in maybe, but it's been a really good start for Phil.
what do you like from Jake Wallman?
His compete was good. Obviously, his skill set and the fact he's a world-class skater. He can shoot the puck. His goal for, going bar down, which was a huge goal at the time. And then managing his game. His game can get risky and erratic at times. He's had a couple of those turnovers. I see him consciously thinking those through. I know even midway through the second period, he feels good about his game. So all of a sudden, it was a risky east-west neutral zone thing, and simple conversation and do it again. So, but he's competing too. The defensive zone stops, which is good. So it's a tall ask for him. He hasn't played a lot. He hasn't played a lot of hockey, period. Coming off an injury, and for getting thrown right in there, I think he's done a really good job.
What does it do for a team when you've got, 3 defensive pairings, all with a guy who can really help you out offensively as well?
Yeah. Well, I think, you look at offense. I look at some of those guys that can skate. And a lot of times that skating translates into some offense. The entire NHL has 4 to 5 guys in the rush right now. It's so hard to create offense. You get those opportunities in the rush, you have to be up. But to me, for sustained ozone, you need to create offense from the offensive blue line. I know it wasn't the greatest goal by Sherratt, point shot, perfect timing. The goalie gets screened by his own D-man, but we had 3 point shots prior to that and retrieved it. So it was extended zone time, and it finally ended up in the back of the net with Ben's goal, but that mentality of getting the puck to the net and retrieving it gave us an extended ozone shift, which led to that goal. So I think, to me, people think of offense, of D-man, guys on the rush. Erik Karlsson is 4-point night. He was spectacular on the rush, deception. But to me, part of that is being able to create from the offensive blue line. It could be as simple as getting a puck through traffic. It may not go in at the time, but it creates a scramble. It creates pressure on their D. You might end up scoring 25 seconds later because of that skilled play.
I know plus minus doesn't always tell the whole story, but if you look at Roenick's +8 rating, he's been a guy that's had some pretty bad minus ratings earlier in his career. Does that kind of indicate just the improvement he's made defensively?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, the plus minus with today's underlying numbers is not as probably important as it used to be back in the day, but I think there's something to that. What's exciting about Phil and even Ole in the last couple of games, all year long, Boogs has given Ben and Mo the number 1 matchup. And Ben and Mo were good on the weekend, but at times their game wasn't as sharp as it has been. And Bob gave some of that burden on Ole and Phil, and they still performed very well, which is a good sign. I think we've had some results because we're getting good D play, and it starts obviously with our D-men.
These two, just with the offense, 10 goals so far from the defensemen. I think only 20 all of last season, so that's a good pace there.
Yeah, but I think that offense just it's us being simple on our 5-on-5 play. Again, those D goals are quiet D goals, and what I mean by that, it's not player cutting through, knifing through three guys, or having a world class, 200-foot play, breakout, beat two guys, join the rush. It's just they're joining the rush properly. They're getting pucks to net in the O-zone. I think it's a credit to our forwards of at least the last two games, especially when our 5-on-5 offense was struggling, is getting those hard areas. Traffic, rebound, goalie's eyes, deflections, that all resulted in offense from our D.
What is Perron's impact on the power play been here? Obviously, they've gotten a lot of chances for a while here now, but it seems like they're converting some this weekend, and his patience.
Yeah, patience, good word. It runs through him. Obviously he's world class on the half wall, but I think which goes unnoticed, which has helped our power play immensely, is his ability to retrieve and keep plays alive. Can't tell you how many times the power play looks in trouble. And he'll either make a poise play or a little pass, maybe through our bumper or even through traffic, and it gets to be restarted. So huge part of our power play, and a player that takes it very serious. Mean by that, he takes it personal. I think he puts in himself for power play success as a team and performing as such.
What did you think of Bergeron on the road trip? I mean, there's definitely flashes of that potential that he has, I suppose.
Yeah, I think flashes of skill, which are great, but I think at times there's times, adding a skilled guy in your lineup shows up in many different ways. Sometimes it shows up with a play out of the D zone or a skill play in the neutral zone that keeps the play moving north. It's not necessarily that world-class skill play ends up in the back of their net. So I just think some of that skill helps our lineup. It's a little different being in our bottom six. I know we've given him looks in our top six when warranted, and it's helped our lineup. But it's just a different look in our bottom six, a little skill that's helped us.
How important has Bob's experience been for you as a former head coach?
Excellent. You're not only as a former head coach, but as a player too in this league. I use him and Tangs a ton, and just with Bob, he's seen everything and then some. As an assistant, as a head coach, it's a different world as a head coach. Just the reality of it. Kind of just bringing everything together is a skill. And some of the best coaches, I felt fortunate to come with John Cooper, and people always ask, why is John Cooper so great? It's how he manages. So I think he's helped me a ton in that area.
Is there anything that, obviously you've been a head coach before, but is there anything that has been, wow, this is something an NHL head coach has to do, or anything like that for you so far about 6 weeks into the season?
No, not really. It's because, seeing it from Tampa, but again, I feel very fortunate to have that head coaching experience for like 7 or 8 years in 3 different leagues. I needed that coming in here, and I've seen some coaches, their first head coaching experience is in the NHL, and that's a tall order. So I'm really fortunate to be able to tap back into those experiences. But yeah, I mean, obviously this level, it's a whole different. I mean, little things like that, just managing little things, travel, and of course there's a lot more that goes to it. But again, I don't say this arrogantly. When I took this over, I was ready. And a lot of it had to do with just all the experiences I had. Could I have backdoored in, when I was first in Minnesota, could I become the interim head coach in Minnesota? Absolutely, see all the time. I'm not going to say I would have failed, but that would have been a tough learning curve for me.
When Steve brought you in over the offseason, both of you preached that the goal was to get this team better defensively, bring down the goals against, improve the goal differential, that kind of stuff. Now that we are approaching American Thanksgiving, how would you evaluate based on what your goals were heading into the season?
Yeah, I'm really happy with it. It's tough because underlying numbers, they're not, I think we're like in the entire league, we might be 8th or 9th in total points. We're not that in underlying numbers. I think we all know that. But it's miscued a little bit because we've had some of those 8 goals. We've had 3 or 4 games we've literally given up 18, 20 goals that is going to skew those numbers, but that's true. That's what we are. We have those moments. It's not an accident. But for the most part, yeah, not only is our team defense feel much improved, it's our commitment to our defense, which has led us to a good start so far.
Is there a time frame on Soderblom or Lindstrom?
Great question, because we have been Soderblom on a day-to-day with a lower body, and we were hoping to see him today. The fact he wasn't able to practice again today, I can't give an exact. I'm still keeping that day-to-day, but now you're into he hasn't played in a couple of weeks. There's going to probably take some time to it. But with Lindy, he's a day-to-day lower body. He's a true day-to-day. Maybe not available for Wednesday, but if not, I'm sure he'll be available shortly after that.
Was Suter playing center or taking a couple reps at center out there today, or was he just
Who's that?
Suter?
We trust Suter. He'd probably take some reps there. Yeah, we trust Suter in any situation. Even obviously Sonny took some face-offs, which we don't have a right shot center. It feels like we've been absolutely murdered in that D-zone face-off dot, just because a couple ended at the back of our net. So we've tried Sonny a little bit there a couple times, and he missed an assignment and ended up in the back of our net once. So still a work in progress. But yeah, we trust a lot of guys at center. Obviously, suits me one of them.
Derek, are you a big believer in the whole playoff at American Thanksgiving? I mean, you guys are probably going to be in one of those spots. I mean, is it just, well, it's nice to be there this week, but you don't put a ton of stock in it?
No, I did with a couple of my Tampa teams because I knew how talented they were, and that was probably real. No, not with this team. We've got a long ways to go. We're there right now, sheer will and commitment, and it's a huge credit to our guys. But no, those underlying numbers there's some truth to them too. We're willing our way to where we are right now. How sustainable is that? We'll find out from this group.
Coming into the organization as a head coach, how important was it to you to have a good culture, and how much does someone like Perron add to that?
Absolutely. I would put Perron, Kopp, and Sherrod all in that same boat that helped our culture with a new coach, new staff, new starts. I think even Steve's message was signing those guys. Obviously, most of it was filling holes, them as a talent or what they brought as a player. But I also think there was a message in what you can bring our group, in the leadership outside the rink. And so far, they've been a huge, huge help for Dylan and our leadership group.